our 17,000 school districts, and we've solved it in pockets, how are we going to get, and we agree that we need to assess somehow, but maybe not all the ways we need to assess. How are we going to move that past these conversations in a room with all these nice people today?
First of all, you have to start to quantify this system and put some tension or pressure on the system. And basically, you're starting to see this today where schools are being graded, school districts are being graded. And as long as you are fair and objective and you assess them on, a benchmarked assessment or test, I think you can start to put pressure. The fact that No Child Left Behind got terribly politicized, the fact that Common Core has gotten terribly politicized means that if you do these things at the national level, there are always going to be objections, and you'll lose the detail, you'll lose the inherent capability you're looking for. But you have to be able to assess the quality of the education, and then there have to be ramifications if you're failing. And today, there are essentially no ramifications if you're failing. The ramification if you fail is, if you're really lucky and you're a parent, you can take your kid out of that school and put them in some school of your choice. What did Joel Klein deal with, or New York deal with? It was the cap on charter schools. And you've seen Waiting for Superman, you've seen Bob Compton's 4 million minutes about the quality of education in the U.S. There has to be a ramification if you fail, and there has to be an option for the parent and the child to opt out of that into some system that's working. That's competition. And we haven't had competition. The only competition we've had is what zip code you live in. So if you live in the right zip code, you get a good education. If you live in the wrong zip code, you're dead.
So two things about that. One is, I think earlier you said the key word is it's hard work, and that's why nobody does it, right? The people, I get the, how can companies be more like Google? That question comes up all the time. And, they think innovation has this, people think that innovation and being innovative requires, having pool tables and colored walls and, fun stuff in your office. But reality, it's hard work, right? It's the discipline that we have in hiring people. It's the discipline that we have in performance reviews. It's the discipline that we put into our projects, right? So that's part of it. The one thing about competition that I worry about is, and we talk about this all the time, is this idea that the school systems that you mentioned, whether it's Shanghai, whether it's Korea, or whether it's Finland, they don't have a competition system. What they have is equity, right? And so to me, the bigger question is around equity, right? And making sure that it's not based on your zip code, but that we have equity across all our school systems. And even in that case, the equity issue, the diversity and the bias come into play, right? The idea, my mother, who, by the way, thanks everyone for inviting me to this because I can go see her tonight. She's still waiting for me to be a lawyer, right? And I won't be successful until I'm a lawyer, right? And so, we were talking about the biases and diversity and the strategies, and I tweeted out the one element to all this that we have to think about is the community and parents, because as the world becomes more diverse, as the country becomes more diverse, how do you convince Latino parents and African American parents and that science is a viable option, right? Or that they know about computer science and some of the roles that we need to fill, and that they're not doctors and lawyers, right? These are biases that we have inside the parent communities that we have to deal with. And so how do we do this? And so we have bases in Arizona. The great thing about the Wild West is that you can try different things, right? You can experiment. And so we have the basis schools. I'm working with Phoenix Union School District, the superintendent there. We're building what's going to be called the Phoenix Code Academy. And it's going to be an inquiry-based school where coding becomes the baseline language for 4 years that kids use to solve the problems that they're interested in, right? I think, one of the things I say all the time is that we ask the wrong question to kids and even parents. What do you want to be when you grow up, right? And how is a kid growing up in a place like Hell's Kitchen going to tell you that they want to be a microbiologist, right? Or a sustainable development architect, which are, real jobs. I want to ask our kids, what problem do you want to solve, right? What problem are you interested in? And what are the knowledge, skills, and abilities that you need to solve that problem? And then we can start assessing whether or not they're building those knowledge, skills, and abilities to solve those problems. But the fundamental thing that we're doing right off the bat with the school is we're going to spend a lot of time in the community with parents and until they stop coming to our meetings to talk to them about computer science and programming and what that means and how you can actually have a career in computer science. Because as we go dive into these, especially Latino communities, how are they ever going to know what computer science is unless we spend a lot of time talking to them about this?